This conference will now be recorded.
You want to know the real reason or not?
No. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I'm going to forego any chairman's remarks and we'll move right into the new and unfinished business. We have the audit to review.
Do you want to do a roll call?
Oh, sure, go for it.
Cheryl Robinson,
Here.
David Rowley,
Here.
Jeff Lord is absent, Tom Romeo,
Here.
Craig Gelsman is absent, Patricia Kennedy is absent, Jeff Joyner,
Here.
Andrew Marietta,
Here.
James Stewart.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
All right. Jason, you want to walk us through the audits?
So if anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Or you can always give me a call later, email me. I think there was a pretty smooth transition going from partner to partner this year. I've worked on the audit for a long time with Mary, so I'm pretty familiar with what was going on. It was a clean opinion again this year. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. There was a slight loss. A lot of that, seems like the grant and program activity was down a bit. And then there was some of the management, the professional fees went up quite a bit. Just over the years, I think I've seen that. It seems to be fairly normal going from year to year. The rest of the MD&A is pretty standard. I think the board, from reading the board minutes, I think the board is pretty up to date with everything that's been going on. So I would commend everyone on that. A lot of the boards I speak with really don't pay as close attention as you guys do. Again, looking at the actual statements, not much has changed. I know some of the receivables were down a little bit. I think the only thing out there really was a month rent from Ioxus, and then there's still the ESD $150,000 grant that's out there that I think is probably on the way. One of the changes this year was GASB 87 went into effect with leases. We did have to capitalize the copier lease, and then there is a liability associated with that. In all, that's relatively immaterial. The notes, the only real change for the notes is that GASB 87. So we did capitalize the copier. In all, it was $9,500 that was capitalized, and then there's depreciation, amortization, and the associated interest expense with it. Everything else is pretty close to other years. Does anybody have any questions on the financials?
Any questions? Nope, it does not appear so.
Okay. Again, the board report, that's just pretty standard. No material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. I did make a best practice comment on the last year's adjusting journal entries hadn't been made. I suspect that has to do with the transition from the desktop QuickBooks to the online. And going forward, when I make the adjustments, I make them directly to your books now, so that won't be an issue in the future. And so, Megan, when you get the adjusting journal entries, they've already been made. You don't need to make those again.
Okay, thank you.
With the CRC, really there, everything's kind of status quo. There was a little bit of prepaid insurance this year. The only other thing out of the normal was the Springbrook, the bond modification, where there was a little bit of income. And again, that was a clean opinion. No comments or anything on the CRC. I know it was kind of quick. If anybody has any questions on anything, you can feel free to email me, call me. If you have anything now, holler.
Do we have a separate rail yards, or is that embedded within the CRC? In the IDA. Okay. All right, is there any questions for Jason? All right, so we just need motions and.
Motion to approve all three. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I would personally like to thank Jason
I think you did.
Nazim and Megan, they did an excellent job of getting this done quickly.
Awesome
Yeah,
job,
glad we were
guys.
able to
Thank
get it a little earlier.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
And I'll get this signed and sent back to you hopefully today.
Okay.
All right. Any public comment? I assume not. We will need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
This may be the first year we get our,
Get through it on time.
assuming we have a quorum at our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks.
All right.
But getting this last night was interesting nighttime reading, right?
We're gonna go right to.
I know that. No melatonin last night.
So Jeff and Craig both aren't here. Patricia's not here. So Andrew's the only other member of Audit and Finance if Andrew wants to run.
Surprise.
I guess we can just go through payment of bills first, right? No chairman's comments, we'll skip that. Oh, approval, so February 7th, audit and finance committee minutes, can we approve those? I would make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
So, any questions about the bills? Everyone good? All right, anything to point out on the financials? Jody?
I just need a motion for those.
Oh, we have a motion to pay
bill.
the bill, sorry. We have a motion to pay the bill.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Financials.
Our balance sheet is up a little bit by $6,000 from this time last month or last year, so we're doing good shape. Also, probably the biggest thing is that we have closed on Zayed properties, so that brought in another, what, $20,000?
Yeah.
That's actually on our bills, our checks. And we'll be closing this week on
Central.
Central, changes names depending on what you.
The old medical code.
Yep.
And on that one, that's actually quite a bit of money. It's roughly 75,000, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was 89,000. So that's, brings us a net, even if we look at not running to the chamber this year, we have a net increase right now of about $108,000 based on what we were projecting at the beginning of the year. So that's doing well. No, we're gonna probably spend some of that money.
Oh.
No biggie, it was an Axis that was like a month behind and they went, most there were two payments here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the-
Yeah, they got caught up. Were they the one that were like traditionally a month behind?
They were for a few months, not traditionally. They've usually been pretty good, but.
Okay, I know it was mentioned, I think, at last.
Yeah,
week,
at the last
I see
meeting that
that.
we were waiting.
Two payments.
What, can you remind me of the name of the parent company of Ionaxis?
Systematic Power Manufacturing.
Okay.
Are we still paying their insurance?
Yeah. But their lease is up in April. So
Food for discussion.
sooner rather than
I
later.
was gonna say, probably should put that
Yeah.
on, yeah.
Do we need to approve these financials as well?
No,
No.
So we move on to unfinished business then?
you ready?
We have a community bank, the CD that's up for renewal. Originally, I was planning not to renew it because we're probably gonna go to construction with Richfield Springs, but the more I thought about it, I'm recommending that we renew it for another year. because we can always, if we need the money, cash it in.
What's the interest on that? Just out of curiosity.
It doesn't say.
It would matter.
It's not a lot though.
There are
Oh, do you
4+% interest on CDs in other places.
Yeah.
I recommend we have around.
And I would suggest we consider a 6-month CD, because in 6 months, rates could be higher than they are now. And, you know, second 6 months, you could be making better return than if you lock it in for 12 right now. Because there's 2 more jumps, I mean.
Wayne Bank /
Policy.
Bank of Cooperstown, doing
Yeah.
7-month CD for at least 4%. Only 7 months.
We're
Who's
going
it from? Wayne, it's Bank of Cooperstown. I don't know if it's still in effect.
I just saw an ad in this week's
Okay.
weekly paper. But I think if you inquire there, I think the community does, they're coming very close to that.
Well, once again, we should talk to them.
Yeah,
If they're competitive, they should be, and everybody's competitive, everybody knows what everybody's doing. So
Right.
just make sure that we're in the game, but I would still, you know, my advice was work 6 months and renew in 6 months at a higher rate for that.
I agree.
second half. They're still on the way up.
Very good point.
That would make me more comfortable also with,
It gives you the option to catch up.
Right, if you need
Yeah.
cash, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the size of that CD?
$362,000.
It will be significant, a couple of percent. That much money.
Because it's between, 0.5%, 4%, it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Or minus a half.
I think you got some bargaining power
Yeah,
for
leverage.
that size. Yeah.
Okay, the next thing on the new business is the Public Works Enforcement Fund. We received a notification from the state that as a public benefit corporation, we're required to pay into the Public Works Enforcement Fund. So
Can I
that's,
curse at this point?
Yeah.
I just, it's frustration, go ahead.
it's not a lot of money, but it's for any maintenance or construction work we do. So in theory, when we put the siding on the rear of IOX's building, we owe a fee to the state for that. It'll probably amount to like $36, but more than what's annoying is that they expect us to every month send in a report. And it's like, what?
Why is
So
it
gonna cost us
starting
more than
with
36
that?
bucks.
Do we have any idea what they use this money for?
No, they haven't. Goes in the black hole.
It's just interesting, it's the first time it's like coming at us.
Yeah, actually, they sent a letter to Elizabeth. Warren.
Yeah, I see that.
It's just like, well.
What, like 6 years ago?
Yeah.
or something like that, or-
No, I think that was the last probably known contact.
Yeah, it was last year, whatever.
Yeah.
Great.
Hold on a
Oh,
minute.
The next thing is that we received 3 appraisals. And actually, I put those in my monthly report. So if you want to defer this right now until our projects committee, that would be fine. And then lastly, maintenance fund.
We got a call from Bird Truck the other day that they could smell gas. So obviously they called NICEAG and NICEAG went out and they don't have a gas leak, but they said that one of the natural gas heaters is leaking CO2. So NICEAG red tagged one of the heaters. So I sent their AJL Plumbing and Heating out of Maryland. We usually use Gregory, but they were booked until next week. So I wanted to get someone out there. So he sent us a quote. We have it if anyone wants to look at it. It's $11,750. He's recommending that we replace 2 of the 4 heaters that we have. He said one of them has been replaced. But he said the one that was replaced really isn't installed correctly. And so he would fix that. And he would install the other 2, obviously. He said the heating units are from 1987. So seems like it's time. He said the units themselves are about 2,500 a piece, so that's 5,000 right there. And then the rest is labor, supply and install chimney pipes. I guess there's some condensation that got in them, so from the heaters. I don't know a lot about heating, so if you'd like to read the,
So given that there's people working in the building right now, And while we only have one quote, we can't get another one until at least next week. I'm recommending that we.
An emergency
declare an
repair.
emergency.
Those are, my guess is those are suspended.
Yes, they're suspended, yep.
Force hot air.
Yes. He said that previously installed has issues with the gas line support, meeting code requirements. Chimney pipe has been noted to be incorrect. It's a class 1 when it should be a class 3 for power vents, so. At least I can't check that. Like I said, I can't.
I know, go back on down.
I make a motion that we contract with wherever.
AJL plumbing.
Yeah. And has it looked.
Do we have to use the words on an emergency basis?
Yeah, yes, emergency, yeah. A health and safety issue.
I'll second. I don't know if you need a motion or not for this.
We'll put it in. Thank you, guys.
So we're just do a vote quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Does that close out on finance then?
Yeah, if you want to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, projects committee. Of course, we have no comments. Can we get approval for the February 7th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jody, project trackers, any changes?
Well, the first one is, first project tracker is the Innovation Acceleration Center. So let Gina talk about that.
Yeah, so in the past month, I have submitted a USD grant for $50,000 for rural development for the Innovation Center. I haven't heard anything back yet, so we're in a waiting period there. I've also interviewed with Central New York Business Journal on the Innovation Center, and we also have an innovator named Paul Koch that's recently met with Custom Electronics to expand his manufacturing with them. He does label applicator. And
Was
that's,
that new path?
yeah.
That name wasn't familiar to me. Where
He's
is he?
at Morris.
Really?
Mhm.
One I missed, I never heard of it.
Yeah. And then we've also met with a gentleman named David Kenny, who works at SUNY Oneonta. He's the chair of the art department there. And he, on the side, does courses in like 3D printing, which he met with us to see if he can start offering community classes in technical training with 3D printers and CNC machines, which is something of interest to IOXIS to actually host those classes there. So we're still in the development stages with that. And as of yesterday, we have submitted our period 1 financial tracker for reimbursements. So everything including my salary, a computer that we purchased for me, as well as some of the marketing, Facebook ads and things like that have all been submitted for reimbursement. And yeah, and then on a personal note, unfortunately, as of Monday, I have put in my 2 weeks notice here at Seago Now. I received a job opportunity on Cooperstown that I will be accepting. It's just a better fit for me. And I am actively looking for a replacement for me. And I have a very concise, detailed packet for onboarding that new person that has all of the meeting notes that I've ever done and should keep them very up to date with what's going on. So it should be a pretty smooth transition then. We do have an interview with a candidate tomorrow. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for the Innovation Center.
Okay, on the rail yards, we are, in 2 weeks, once the board approves an appraisal, we will be having that property reappraised, as well as the Oneonta Business Park. We have received a request from new owners, I think of Seward Sand and Gravel. They would like to purchase property in the business park, and I told them that we're having the property appraised right now. they want to have a staging area on the rail yards, and they claim that they will get the rail yards to, the railroad to put in a siding in the property.
Now, this is Pony Farm or?
No.
Right here, okay.
So as one of the goals right now is to clear at least another 5 acres of property for this year, finish the Rambo engineering study, and hopefully sell at least 3 acres of the property to get a rail siding in there would be nice.
That will need less utilities, which is one of the expenses for somebody who wants to actually do something there. So, yeah.
You want, so you want to clear 3 of the 5 acres that they might be interested in buying?
Yes, eventually. No, that could be, yes. It depends on why I haven't met with them.
That was a yes, a no, maybe, and a half a half.
We don't know yet. We have one area that we've already cleared.
Right.
That to me would make more sense for them to want to purchase. I would prefer that we put it on the other end so that the siding would go all the way down. They claim they have contacted the railroad, New York Susquehanna and Western Rail.
Who was purchased the business? You say the new owners?
Who purchased it?
Yeah,
Stewart Sand and Gravel?
Stewart, yeah.
Yeah, I
don't think they're from the area.
I've heard some different things, but
My only point is
They
that,
have 3 other facilities in New York State.
yeah, it's a big operation, but they not only purchased the gravel yards, but they also purchased all their equipment, from my understanding. And so if they're interested in a parcel, they have a unique position to clear it. With that very little cost, and then they have phenomenal amounts of equipment. So we may want to just, I was the one that was pushing to get some property cleared, but if we have a month or two to chat with them, we might be able to save ourselves a clearance, because they can really do the junk. Or they do the clearance on our behalf, whatever.
Yeah,
and if they are developing an agreement with railroad for siding, it's not gonna happen in a week and a half. So there's time to get ready. It is like, paperwork and approvals, and so there's time. But find out what all the cards they're holding. And maybe we could exchange, clear the rest of it. We could actually have a site, that industrial park, it looks like people should go there. There'll be some outroar about the dust and commercial traffic within the city, I'm sure.
Oh my God, can you imagine how many truckloads are gonna have to go down there to fill up a
They
railroad?
need to build that Seward Memorial Bridge. So you don't come down the line.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Where you going yet?
Okay.
They have to be dead.
But, yeah, it's more jobs than that, I don't know,
Right, but I don't know how many jobs that would be actually.
Right, yeah,
It won't be
well,
jobs
yeah.
if any. I mean, they're just bringing a dump truck coming in and
Somebody's
dumping it.
driving.
Huh?
Somebody's driving it and they're working all winter. It's still, it's like renovating the ballpark. They're working all winter renovating, and making it better. Nothing moves without somebody working.
So, but we're talking about a company that's a construction company, primary excavation. To have them on the end, where that's a company that we might be able to engage in doing road work down through there and doing the whole, make that whole.
Absolutely.
Do all that.
Really possible.
That would have to be the.
They can always go
If you need a
past the
working
Nissan
trigger, call it
dealership
just,
to get down there.
So to be honest, it's a positive prospect for work.
Yeah, great.
I would be more concerned about public acceptance. Not that I would let it stop us, but we just need to write a presentation.
Let me ask one other quick question, not to belabor this point, but should that company go in there and engage, it's Norfolk and Sumner, isn't it? That goes down through they're a little busy in Ohio. Anyway,
Virginia.
would that have an impact on securing a grant for a bridge? If we have a spur go in or siding, another company go down there, would that have an impact on, a foundation for a grant?
Yeah, obviously, to me, it'd be a conversation, but the price of that bridge has gone. At one time, it was like 3 or 4 million, and the teams for 20.
I don't know if it was ever just 3, 4. I think it was always 10 to 12. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what the answer was on that, but anyway.
Well, we'll come back to the
What's,
Okay.
bridge that was being designed.
Yeah.
so it's gonna be Memorial, because that's the one it's gonna take.
Yeah, that-
Well.
We'll all be gone. I'm just putting that out there, that's what they should do.
Yeah.
We will not get rid of it, okay?
Moving on to Richfield Springs. The water and sewer district's creation is somewhat on track now. The three attorneys are working together. They realize that we're out to bid and we're trying to get that done ASAP. We got drafts of it and it looks well acceptable. EDA accepted the final designs, so that I've got to change the numbers to 100% complete. We are rebidding the request for proposals for construction management. We have one firm that's already said that they are going to submit a proposal to us on that. The extension of natural gas is still waiting for NYSEG. We understand they had a power meeting on our project, but nobody seems to know what the result was yet. And thanks to Senator Seward, that meeting took place. So.
Yeah, I just emailed the new president of the head. I don't know her, but just, you know,
Your name just makes everybody better.
I haven't gotten a response, although apparently there was some senior meeting going on. I don't know what happened there. But maybe, I think that company is a disarray. That's my impression.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no question.
7 years I've been here. The 7 years I've been here, they've been in disarray.
Yeah.
We're out to bid on construction. They're due back, bids are due back at the end of the month. We know at least 4 construction firms have picked up plans, so that's positive. And after one argument with the town attorney this week, I received a call from one of the town board members who says the town is willing to take ownership of the roadway once it's built. And the town is also waiving all fees for site plan approval that they will take care of the rubber stamp. So that's moving along.
Was he speaking on behalf of the whole town?
Yes.
Board? Okay.
The attorney was not.
I've had a horrible week, and after talking ahead, I just thought my head was going to explode.
One of the issues, I was stopped in front of Joe yesterday, but was they brought up the question of the specifications required by the town. And we have an engineering firm that's done the design of this, who's probably doing DOT, New York State DOT specs, which far exceed any specs from that. And the guy didn't even know that report, that design was in. He's like, drop dead, buddy.
The attorney was like, well, we haven't approved the specs on that yet. I mean, there are town standards. I'm like, your town has dirt roads. What kind of standards do you have on roads? And he's like, well, and I said, I sent you the plans 2 months ago. No, it's like,
Fortunately, there's a group on the town board that's pro development of the
Yeah.
project, and now's a good time to get all of, anything moving forward we can, we need to.
and I really appreciate Larry Friedman.
Yeah.
He's been really spearheading it on.
Yeah, they want this to happen.
Yeah.
It's standard procedure to do New York State DOT specs.
Yeah, no question, everything's.
Yeah.
Guy didn't even know that.
May I ask who the attorney is?
Town?
No, for the town of Richfield. The one you've been dealing with.
Yeah,
We can have all money.
Jim Hughes.
Is it Rochester?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, not local.
yeah, it's
No,
municipal law firm.
James Hughes at Hancock and Estabrook. I mean, it's a decent firm. I mean,
Oh, yeah, the firm is well known, incredible, but who knows?
He's a little late to the party.
Yeah.
So that's the update on Richfield Springs. Really quickly, the county board approved our 275,000 at their last board meeting. And we sent the insurance into the city county administrator yesterday, so they're moving to have a contract signed and a check released. We have changes to the employee handbook that should have been distributed to everybody. We're basically taking out one of the holidays, which is Martin Luther King Day, and adding a specific section on vacation, sick leave, and personal leave. We decided to keep them separate in the sense as opposed to merging them because we can carry over vacation time, but we don't carry over sick time or personal time. So if everybody looks at those, we'll probably go around the next month. And the staff have reviewed it and are in agreement with the recommendations.
Any other unfinished business, Jody?
The last thing on the report is really the bids that we received. As I said, we received 3 bids. The lowest was a local firm.
Bid for appraisal.
I would recommend we use a different firm than local because the comps come out compared to bigger markets. I'm familiar with how the local person does it, and we'd be better served to have a regional firm do the appraisals as opposed to Lonnie. Or make sure the comps he's using are Albany, Syracuse, Binghamton, not Cobblestone, and Norwich. Having been through that recently, and the results are good.
I do have credentials listings for bar appraisals and CBRE. I did not get any from Lonnie. I requested them, but I haven't received it from them yet. So again, this is for next month or next 2 weeks from now. We'll go on this.
Do you have a recommendation?
I feel more comfortable to CB Richard Ellis. We've used them in the past, but they're the highest. You can't really pay for.
We're not, in this circumstance, we are not required to take the lowest bid, are we?
No, it's a proposal, so you can take whatever you want.
But we can make a counter offer. Can we negotiate the bid?
I can try to do that.
No, there's no try, there's do. Yoga, come on. I'll call.
How much higher are they?
All right. I will talk to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, right. I didn't have that.
So we assume we're going to be awarding this contract at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll expect you'll have a proposal and a recommendation.
Yeah, I made copies of this because I didn't want to really put this into the, I'll just paraphrase it. Empire State Development Rail Grant. We're supposed to be reimbursed $150,000. Megan done all the paperwork, submitted it to the state.
In October.
Yeah. There are 2 problems with our submission.
Is this an executive session or not?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't have to be. One is that you can't incur costs before the grant was approved. And one of the bills that was from
Clark Patterson.
Clark Patterson Lee engineers that did actually the designs for the bridge was actually, the check was cut before the grant was approved. So they're disallowing that cost, $13,000. However, they then asked Megan for copies of all the contracts, and we could produce all the contracts for all the projects, except for the Clark, Patterson, and Lee contract. If you look at my office, it's a mess. We pulled out all dead files. We've gone through everything.
We reached out to Clark Patterson Lane, they don't have anything.
Our auditors don't have it.
No, they looked,
And then we
the
jumped.
auditor, we had emails with the auditors asking for it, so we thought that maybe they sent it to the auditors at one point, and he looked
This was like 2017, correct?
26, 15 or 16, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Maybe it never existed.
well, there was it's a letter from one of the engineers to Elizabeth Horvath says, I checked our files and don't see anything. I do have our final proposal, but I don't see an executed copy of the contract. And then Elizabeth said, Sandy, is this contract floating around in your briefcase or somewhere? Needed for grant files. And apparently it was never executed. So the last payment that was made was the month before I came here. So it's that time frame, roughly a year. Everybody seemed to have left, and we were still paying on this contract. I don't know. So anyway,
We sent, yeah, all the questions that ESD had, we answered all of them. That was the only thing that we couldn't provide. And so she said that she was gonna send it back to review. She asked me for a copy of the proposal. I gave her that. And so now it's just kind of wait and see what they say.
So what's at risk is $13,000?
Well, no, it'd be more than that. That was just the 13 that was incurred prior to the grant award,
Oh,
but it would be substantially more than that.
Over 100,000.
I don't know the amount of Clark Patterson Lee off the top.
So
can grab it.
what's the total money at risk?
Well, I don't know if they're, I asked her worst case scenario, but she doesn't have an answer for me because it's not her. She's just our project manager. It goes above her head. So she didn't have a worst case scenario for me, but I assume worst case scenario is they don't allow any
All
of
of the
those
costs, yeah.
Just from Clark Patterson Lee,
And then total would be,
less than 100 probably.
and what's odd is that going through all of the files, there is no file contract for any Clark Patterson work that was done. It's like that entire section is missing.
And the agency paid Clark Patterson fully.
Correct.
Yeah. The last payment was in August of 2017.
So if we're lucky, they will grant us a certain amount of reimbursement.
Yeah, I mean, we have all the Delaware engineering costs, we have Young and Summer costs, the MRB master plan was on there, so. And we have all those contracts, so everything else that they asked for, they have. So that to me would be worst case scenario, is they don't reimburse us for Clark Patterson.
Which is the biggest of all the costs, correct?
No, Delaware engineering.
Oh, it is, okay. All right. So we're due to get something,
Yes,
just not Clark.
it's- yeah, but it's already been dropped from 150 now to 136 just because of that 13,
Right.
so,
Still, it would be nice to get to 136.
yeah.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what's going on right now.
Do we have any idea where Sandy's briefcase is? Sorry.
It's just, I mean, everybody left so early in 2017 that I don't think anybody followed them. Right.
any other unfinished business, new business?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that motion. Okay, need a second.
Thanks for seconding.